the ever-important cat cam. And let us begin this PVZ. So we're on a new map. It's called Pylon. Thank you. Praise easy map names. Praise the map makers. And it looks very interesting, at least from first glance on the mini-map. Top left it is MaxPax, bottom right it is Solar. Solar being our really only representative of Zerg oftentimes. There are some other Zergs that sign up for the tournament, like Wayne, for instance, who... Oh my god, what was Wayne's names before? He had a bunch of names. Ratata and... another one, but... Anyway, it's been so long. He doesn't seem to get as far. Solar's the reliable Zerg to get to the top, I guess 5 or 4, something like that. So, yeah, he's still kind of our best hope to not have non-stop TVP. Because, of course, even if other Terrans arrive and try and participate, they don't have TVT very often because Clem generally is a finalist and he plays Protoss versus Terran. Seems to be a big problem right now in that matchup. It's completely flipped from where it was 6 months ago, where generally people agreed that Protoss had a tougher time against Terran. Now it's generally agreed to be quite the opposite, perhaps even too much so. Now, I have said, I've been on record on my talk show that I used to do, that I wouldn't mind a time where Protoss is actually a little overpowered. I think that, you know, they've kind of done their due diligence, being at least not represented in the finals and semifinals of bigger tournaments. So to have them finally usher in a new age might be fine. But the only problem with that is that generally throughout the last 15 years of StarCraft 2, people generally don't like when Protoss is the best race. It takes them a lot longer to complain about Terran being the best race or Zerg being the best race, or admitting that they're the best races, right? Protoss immediately jumped upon as soon as they start doing well, so that's the downside. And it doesn't help right now that all these weeklies do incorporate a lot of the same players. We have some of our players who just don't participate in online weeklies very much, or who don't necessarily give it their all, I suppose, in online weeklies. So hopefully when we do start getting those qualifiers for EWC, DreamHack Dallas coming up as well next month, we will have a bigger net of players to showcase and talk about some of the upset potential like we used to do in the regionals. But right now the Open Cups are kind of, well, they're a little stale, if we're being honest. So that's why we also tend to cheer for Solar as the representative Zerg here. This is the beginning of a PVZ, totally normal stuff happening. Stargate for our boy MaxPax, and Solar going for, looks like, actually pretty, totally normal speed. So let's take a look at the map as the Adept comes in. Maybe it gets a couple of drones. That would be important, but shouldn't happen. But the map does seem like a typical 3-base setup. We don't have a lot of maps that try and move away from that 3-base setup, just with the meta of StarCraft 2 being what it is. Should we have a map pool that doesn't have standard third bases? There's an argument for it, but generally most people do consider 3 bases to be kind of a gold standard. And then maybe the 4th could be a little more difficult, but then that directly impacts the Zerg. It is tough to balance fun with balance, but yeah. So the base setup does look rather typical, but then we have some of the innards of the map that do have some interesting features. We got like a double bridge going on in the middle. These rocks, not particularly noteworthy, but then there's a Rich Vespian Geyser on the shared bases. They would be, if we got that deep into the game anyway. We got corner bases. I don't see any gold on the map. Xel'Naga's not particularly helpful by the looks of things for when it comes to the direct back and forth attacks. These are going to be more helpful if we do get to like a 5-base or 6-base scenarios by the looks of it, because I gotta imagine... Yeah, I don't think you actually pass by the Xel'Naga vision if you just go straight across the map. I could be wrong. Have not seen it, so we'll see. Dave Testa, they get for the 24 months. Should have match Reno to help prize pool? I mean, they could, obviously, but that does, you know, take a portion of money away. It is a convenient way to kind of gather crowdfunding. That's the best part about it, but it does take some money away, and then it requires, I guess, an X amount of additional effort. And, I don't know, maybe there's other reasons they haven't decided to do it, but whatever it is. When even taking a natural is challenging, like Metalopolis, right? Yeah. I mean, I really do wonder what modern StarCraft balance, units, design, and player knowledge would do with one of these older maps. Now, we had the nightmare pool, as everyone called it, because everyone hated it when we brought back nothing but old maps. But I don't know. I'd be totally down to have it again, honestly. I'd be down to force people to play on it more than just an off-season, because that was the time where we had like a legitimate off-season between BlizzCon and like Katowice, basically. And now we don't really have that, but anyway. So the map is otherwise typical. I think it is pretty good, and I like the pylons. I like that same pylon. We do have Blink +1 on the way from MaxPax. It's going to move out. How many oracles did we create? 2 oracles. And so far, a flawless game from the Protoss. Solar losing little bits here and there, and now losing some of this creep spread, which initially doesn't seem that important. And it probably won't be, but you always got to be a little worried as a Zerg player as to what exactly your Protoss opponent is planning. For instance, Solar is not going to be able to check the timing of the additional 2 gases. Didn't see like total saturation, I think, on the base. I'm not sure about that. And, you know, this could be a lot, I guess. This could be a real dedication. More gateways added far before the technology, for instance, so that suddenly what looks like a very manageable number of Stalkers turns unmanageable very quickly. It's not that, but Stalkers with Blink and Oracles to help them does mean that they just live for a very long time. At least they should. We are playing on NA. Ping could be an issue. MaxPax losing one of his weakened Stalkers, and many of his Stalkers without shields is going to have to back away. Solar just in the nick of time getting to a decent number of roaches. Because even though this wasn't really dedicated by MaxPax, we have seen games, actually just the last one I cast, which was 3 weeks ago actually, I was on vacation. We saw like a non-committed Stalker attack win the game easy peasy. So it can happen, it shouldn't. In this case, it won't. Solar has pushed back these Stalkers and now even starting to take some good trades, I want to say. 3 Stalkers have now gone down, 4 Stalkers make it, many more could if they stayed around and fought. So that's 5 Stalkers killed. That is some serious revenge, because Solar, up until that point, was just taking the damage, right? But, you know, this isn't actually it for the roaches. So Solar has typically, if not always, been going for some type of mid-game all-in. It could go a little bit earlier, it could go a bit later, but I'd still call everything that he does mostly mid-game, so up to 4 bases, but not a full saturation on 4 bases, you know? I think that's mostly what he's been doing. Maybe there was a 3-hatch all-in somewhere, but basically it's roaches, it's Hydra Ling, it's... I guess he has done a Ling all-in, maybe? But yeah, it's this. And so MaxPax should know this. He should see roaches and say, okay, it's roaches. What else is there to also find out? You could find out if they have a Baneling nest. You could find out if they're on their way to Hive. And those would tell you, hey, they're not going to attack me. But if MaxPax got any scouting, he would kind of confirm. It looks like with a Ravager on the front lines, it's already kind of confirmation enough that they're going to be dedicating a lot to this attack. Unfortunately for MaxPax, he was a little out of position. Initially, the roach number not that high, but still jumping on top of this 4th base prior to MaxPax being prepared, able to cut a couple Stalkers, but the 4th base did hold on for a time, allowed those storms to actually accumulate, and with storms plus a decent number of Stalkers left over, still 19, now 22, 33 roaches isn't actually going to push past that. They need some type of links around, force the blink to be used, and then ideally without any amount of shield batteries, which have just been repowered. So yeah, this isn't going to work for Solar. He does have additional technology on the way, but it's still very mid-game oriented. We got Tunneling Claws. I mean, this could win, of course, but if MaxPax is wise to it, which it does seem like he is, there is a cannon in the natural already. He's building an additional one. And then it's not going to do catastrophic damage. Immortal now joining the fray. Oracle still with plenty of energy to help out. Shield batteries were depowered again on that 4th base, but I think the army is just good enough. Yeah, no, man, MaxPax is like, oh, definitely good enough. That blink forward was pretty spot on, actually. That is going to do the trick. Roaches in the main base were seen. They've been chased. There wasn't a lot of army from MaxPax initially to deflect it, but it was enough to stop this from being a tremendous amount of damage. I mean, it was hardly any, actually. 4 probes killed. You get one time where you might have the surprise with Tunneling Claws, because then it's a visual upgrade, the roaches will be seen. And that should really be able to get into at least 2 bases and kill, I want to say, at least 12 probes, actually. to really start to wonder if that's good enough. But we do have a lot of army being built to take care of the burrowed roaches, meaning that we didn't have reinforcements on the front line. That could be a problem. Storms are all gone. Archons were merged. Now they're all dead as well. Shield battery going to just be killed at this point. And the front line army of MaxPax looks really small. I know he has more army, though. There it is, finally coming forward. He was just reinforcing entirely in the main base. Because he was, yeah, that was a decent amount of roaches that were trying to deal that economic damage. And then they did eventually, I think, go toe-to-toe with the Protoss army. But when they're burrowed, you also got to consider the regeneration. Like, it actually is so annoying sometimes because you'll have enough to deflect it, but not quickly. Because the roaches would regen while they're burrowed. So that's usually a problem. It looks like MaxPax might have towed that line just good enough, however, to save his 4th base, which is very low. But he saves his main natural and 3rd. That's not been a problem. The burrowed roaches did not do a lot of damage there. And the 4th base does not get sniped. And now that the army's back on the front lines, triple immortal, Oracle still helping out. Cannons and shield batteries to help out as well. I don't think Solar will break this. This is about the supply that makes it possible against Protoss, but oh my god. Oh, that was like half the army in a stasis trap. Yeah, that's not what you want. 40 to 50 army supply lead when you're talking about roaches versus +2 stalkers. That is, as I said, just barely enough to really give the Zerg a chance. Certainly if the Protoss is lacking those immortals, lacking a good stasis trap, lacking shield batteries and cannons, like there is a chance. But everything is really combined together here for MaxPax. Solar's in a lot of trouble. He has no second plan right now. Still only at 63 drones, +1 missile. He does get a great depower on a lot of gateways and a shield battery going after the immortal right now as well. But this is not enough. I mean, even if those roaches win temporarily, how many probes are they really going to kill? Not that many. And the distraction that almost caused the loss of a 4th base, that the previous attack, the previous harassment, isn't really happening now. MaxPax has really done a great job settling that momentary panic of not quite having enough on the front lines because you were distracted. I think it's over and gone now. The Nexus is quite low. Solar could try and just sack some units to try and get the kill there, but would that also be enough is a big question. Because then you would just have the inevitable counterattack of the Protoss army, which is actually getting to +3 at this point, and that would just be a better army. But we do have some of those frontline Archons going down. Not a lot of time to gain storms again. I don't think we've seen a storm since the first engagement. Immortals having their shields popped and thus dying, actually, almost anyway. 3 of them still alive, regaining that shield eventually. And then the Oracle still helping out with the stasis trap, so this might be the opportunity to go after the Nexus. It is the opportunity. Not going to lose a whole lot for it, just the Corrosive Biles used, really. And that means that Solar could possibly stop the counterattack that maybe MaxPax actually doesn't do. He's not desperate because he lost that 4th base, actually. Does it suck? Yeah, but he's actually double expanding. That's certainly a choice. He's not rolling in money right now, but 800 minerals going into a double expand, so that means that he's confident in the army that he's built up. And with +3 and the Immortals living and some still a good soccer number, I could see why. He also finally had some time to add in the recharge for the High Templar, so they do actually have Storm. That will help a whole lot. One Immortal does get taken down, but we actually were up to 5 at one point. Back down to 4, but very healthy Immortals. 5th base, well, this is the 4th now, I guess. Very low. One of those things where initially I was like, should he have actually let it finish? But I think you would. You should. It's just... It is concerning how low that got before he saved it. Okay, well, we'll see if that gets sniped. Because that means you can't react to an attack. You have to be prepared for the attack at the 4th base now. And I'm just not sure that's really possible. It's not like MaxPax has the entire map in his vision. So, for instance, he didn't realize that the entirety of the Zerg army was heading to the right side. He just didn't know it was on the left. Actually, nothing was on the left. So that Nexus is a goner. Solo didn't skip past it, so maybe, yeah, he should have canceled it. It was a hard call, but at least it was double expand, so a 4th base is back up and running. Still on 4 bases here. Solar still on a limited number of drones. Good Corrosive Bile taking out one more Archon. And the Storm count, I know, is somewhere. There it is. Oh, and he's going to try and go for a surround. Oh, he's going to try and go for a bit of a surround here. MaxPax, maybe a little low on the left side. That's where Solar's going to try to escape, but still some... Storms hitting the heart of the army. Ravager's very, very low, very targetable. It's exactly what the blink was for. And we know that Solar eventually is going to have to disengage and then might run out of steam. It's really hard to call as far as MaxPax knowing that or not, but that's usually the deal when it comes to these type of Zerg attacks. Unfortunately, the Nexus is going to go down. Solar making something happen here. Not the distraction, just the temporary lack of vision and the, well, frankly, overreach, I think you could call it at this point. The overreach of double expanding from MaxPax might have allowed Solar back into this game, but once again, the counterattack is the big question. Is it just going to beat down Solar's army, which is now Ravagerless, by the way? Not a whole lot of reinforcements coming in, however. A couple of Zealots would be huge on the front line, but the Roach number is thickened out. Full Immortals still here. More Archons reinforcing, and that probably will do it. There you have it. MaxPax countering as he lost his 4th/5th. After he had just killed all of the Ravagers and almost the entire army. That was all Solar's reinforcements that were trying to hold. And that's so often how that game will happen. If the Protoss stabilizes around that 150 supply, even if they do take the economy hit, then the option to kind of all in themselves is there. And it's a very scary one because they usually get up to that +3 attack. And if their retention of units is good, then they're just better units than Roaches and Ravagers, if Solar had any, which it didn't. So it was a little more difficult. You know, there was a little more question mark in that game than I think MaxPax would be happy with, you know, as far as optimizing that game. He probably could have done a little more, but the job was done. Tayu, thank you very much for the 69 months. And yesterday was 420. Oh, if I'd streamed, you could have subbed 420.69. What have I done? What have I denied the world? ZG on the Cheeseadelphia. I do not have spending money. Gotta tell you. And I no longer live close to Cheeseadelphia. So, no, unless they pay for my flight out there, I'm definitely not going. But if you guys are local to Philadelphia, around Philadelphia, then definitely go to Cheeseadelphia. No, I hate driving. Absolutely not. I would, especially if I had a goal, you know, if I had to be somewhere in a certain amount of time, I would hate it. I don't like driving in general. And, having to drive and not take like a leisurely approach where like I get like a camper as well and I like go see the national parks or something. No, absolutely not. No amount of podcasts and music would help me. We're on incorporeal this time, which is a fancy word, but a word I very much can pronounce, or close enough to it, I suppose. Which is the, oh, wait a minute. Wait, so what is this? Hold on. I've never really seen the incorporeal. Maybe I can't say it. Hold on, we're gonna learn. Corporeal. Cases is in the ladder map. Incorporeal. There we go. I'm not emphasizing the right things. Okay, and it is the one that has no material existence. Gotcha. I got it now. Incorporeal. So the other one is corporeal. No one uses these words. Stop making me learn things. Oh! Ehoo! That's not the right base for a hatchery. MaxPax forced to react to this, of course. Solar did not do this as a reaction to being blocked, as Joan would not have made it over in time. This was actually his plan from the beginning. Not exactly sure why, but if at the end of the day he just thinks that he has to mess up MaxPax because he's a little bit of the underdog, I would actually understand that. It's just a question of, is a proxy hatch, or a block hatch, I should say, is that actually something that messes up MaxPax? It's rare, but it's definitely something all Protoss have practiced against at this point. Perhaps, maybe the rush distance of this map is quite small, but that's not necessarily a good thing for the block hatch, actually. Yeah, it's not, I would say it's actually a bad thing for a block hatch, because then the counter of the Adept and the Zealot is much faster. The only thing I can say that the block hatch does is that it forces the Protoss to respond more than the block hatch is mineral-wise, I guess. But then you do have to account for the drone not mining as it usually would, and almost certainly dying as well. So I guess at the end of the day, I'm just not a fan of it anymore. You know, it was all fun and games when people were clearly confused as to what to do against either a proxy hatch or a block hatch, and you just saw the Protoss temporarily short circuit. But now that doesn't happen, so it's kind of like, well, it's different, I guess. But is it fun? I don't know. And the counter attack that we're seeing here is what I was kind of talking about. Would take advantage of a shorter map. The Zealot, almost certainly not going to add a lot here, but taking up the Queen's DPS, for instance, when they're one of the more reliable ways to shoot down the Adepts. The Adepts got quite aggressive. They got into the creep. They got into the mineral line. So yeah, of course, the Lings are able to touch them. But then if the Zealot had also joined in, that's when they can like sneak itself into a little mineral line here and be really quite annoying. 1 Adept survives, 4 drones are killed, and 6 Lings. So, of course, you have to make those Lings, which take away from the drones that you would usually be building at this point in time, only building those kind of like 2 or 4 Lings for scouting, and then maybe 6 to 8, actually, if it was double Adept harass. That is true, but it's just, this is a very early on difference that I just feel like nowadays affects the Zerg more than it affects the Protoss. Leaving the injured Adepts back at home would often make sense. In this case, it is going to cause a little bit of a problem, but the warp-ins are available, so MaxPax does not worry. He's got an Oracle and 5 Adepts on the counter, and this is just... well, this might be game. It's just so much damage to take when Solar has already, frankly, done the damage to himself. I don't know. I don't know exactly what Solar was hoping would happen in this game, but losing all this and then having to respond to all this is... it's not exactly uncommon, is it? So this is why I'm just like, well, what was Solar's idea to have happen? I guess he was hoping just that the threat of his own run-by would force MaxPax to be more conservative with the counters and only use the Oracle, in which case, you know, that would be fine. But that's not what happened, is it? I mean, even the counterattack is stronger just, like, balance-wise right now, because you get the recharge on the Oracle. So the Oracle no longer goes across the map and then helps for, like, 5 seconds. It helps for 25 seconds. That's a huge difference. I don't know, guys. I do not know. I do know one thing, is that Solar's not doing okay. All right? What I don't know is exactly his plan, what he wanted to have happen, but I do know that he's not okay. At third base, already over halfway done for the Protoss, as Solar just now matches the worker count of his Protoss opponent. He was down by 10 for a while. Gonna lose a couple more drones, too, as the Oracle is constant threat. MaxPax certainly no longer affected by that opener. Like, this is back on the rails, doing everything he needs to do to get Blink +1. Solar might be going for his own +1 melee? Yeah, okay. So he will have potentially he'll have a chance, like, if MaxPax does the exact thing he's been doing against Solar, for the most part, which is to move out aggressively just prior to Blink to, you know, you have your Oracles to defend you. If there's enough Lings, it's a bit of a gamble, though, but if you have enough Lings and you get this around and you just nip that attack in the bud, I mean, you could take away 4 to 8 Stalkers very cost-efficiently with a Ling surround. Now, the Oracles are there with a Pulsar Beam to help make sure that doesn't happen, as well as their Stasis Trap, so it's a gamble for multiple reasons, but it's the only thing I can think of that might pull Solar's back into this game, which is just to be scary enough at a moment that MaxPax lays off him. But MaxPax should also be quite aware that that is a potential power spike of his opponent, that his only chance would be to get him at least to get off his back, and so he might overproduce army now and make up for it later. I'm sure he's aware of it. And just, at that point, I guess just be very conservative. You know, plenty of stasis traps. Make sure one Oracle has enough energy for Pulsar Beam. Prepare a recall if necessary, which I'm sure he's all thinking about. Adepts to get into the third base. Only killed 3 drones, though. It's not a super big deal, but this is just such an unideal game. Charge is on the way. Lickety split here for MaxPax as Blink did finally finish. Stalkers mostly retained. 2 went down. Oh, 10 depths too. 10 depths is not nothing. That is for sure. And 1 Oracle did finally die. But I'm still concerned for Solar's overall game plan here. +1 melee will finally finish. That's going to be ahead of the Stalker's +1 attack. But is the Ling number high enough? Again, they really need those surrounds. They really need to be able to surround, force the blink, and then continue chasing after the Stalkers to really get this done. And the Oracles are always going to be a threat to that. Stalkers on the right side reinforcing are a little awkward, forced to take refuge in the mineral line, which with the Oracles nearby is not a problem whatsoever. Stalkers are getting weakened, so they're in increasing danger to dying before MaxPax can blink out, especially with the ping. But MaxPax doesn't really have to leave at this point. Solar, recognizing that he might be losing the battle, the tug of war right there, goes for a run by, which is probably the better plan. It doesn't leave very much back at home. He has managed to get himself up to a lair with Hydras on the way, but we need that protection for the Hydras too. So whether that's Lings or Queens, either one, something needs to be on the front lines. And right now, MaxPax looking to kill those frontline units. The Queens are getting low. They're running out of transfuses. The hatchery's low too, so that could be targeted and then recalled. Hydra's coming out one at a time. Easy pickoffs right there. Ling run by did kill 8 probes. It also forced the Oracles back, which actually might be one of the better things about it. And maybe that means Solar can accumulate enough units. MaxPax not able to reinforce because of that run by. Maybe losing a little bit of ground on the forward position, but it's such a small battle. And when that happens, that means that the blink retention is so strong. MaxPax does have to respect the possibility of suddenly 10 Hydras, 20 Lings popping out. He could easily overstay his welcome if that was happening and you just can't know for sure that's not happening. You can be pretty sure you've done a good job suppressing the Zerg player from the start of the game, but you're never 100% sure. And I think MaxPax did choose a wise time to pull away, because this basically guarantees he'll defend what is going to be an all-in from Solar. No more drones on the way, no more technology. MaxPax just needs to hold. Already a good stasis trap taking away that front line. We got Storm done, officially, and that'll just murder all these Hydras. Oh, no. Oh, no. Zealot's a little overeager, gotta wait for the storms to weaken them, but not even worth completing the battle. MaxPax, a very clean game too. Solar wanted to mess him up, I suppose, and it just messed him up so much worse.